From carpets to draperies, Iolani Palace is getting a facelift, but not to appear young, instead to appear as it did in the olden days during the time of Hawaii's monarchy.
There's a flush of color at historic Iolani Palace, from new carpets on the grand staircase to curtains and bed drapings in King Kalakaua and Queen Kapi'olani's bedrooms, all part of a $440,000 textile refurnishing project. That's textile historian Celia Oliver putting the final touches on the bedroom curtains just before she returned home to Vermont. For several months, Oliver worked hard creating reproduction curtains and bed hangings for the monarch's rooms, and she did it all on site, set up right next door to the Queen's bedroom.
I really put myself into the time. There's a handful of us doing reproduction draperies and home furnishings, and I really enjoy seeing how they were living and understanding what the production was and what the technology was that they had at hand.
As for the King and Queen's taste in furnishings,
they were very much in style, and people tracked style by not only seeing what the people in their community were living with, but they were reading magazines and they were traveling and they were keeping up with what was current in fashion.
So how do you accurately replicate something that basically no longer exists? It's all part of the sleuthing. Old photographs, news reports, and palace receipts provide descriptions and companies. Remnants aided in discovering the colors.
We were fortunate enough to have some tiebacks that we used for some original tiebacks that came back from a museum in Washington State, and that was a source for the colors for the draperies, because although they were faded on the outside, they were still colorful on the inside, so we could use that as a guide.
Just how accurate is the finished product? Take a look at this photograph, but look closely at those valances over the bed. They were a challenge.
The photographs were really dark, and you could tell where there was a pleat because there were shadows and bumps. That was about, and sometimes, so I spent a lot of time when I was designing the valance, I would try it out and lay it out and make, pleat it and hang it along the edge of a table to see if I could get it hang and look the same way that it did in the photographs.
The new wool carpets are creating a buzz, woven by antique looms in England and recently installed, including on the grand staircase and upper and grand hall. It really resembles this photograph from the late 19th century, all part of the excitement of bringing the palace and its story to life.
But it's very exciting because we've been carrying these images in our minds, and I've been looking at yarn tufts and fabric samples and carpet strike-offs for the 2 years that I've been here, and to actually see something go from 12 inches to this gigantic hall is really spectacular.
The colors are beautiful and the style's interesting. For more than $140,000 of this funding came from the Institute of Museum and Library Services. Iolani Palace, one only 2 Hawaii institutions to receive an IMLS grant this year.